Oh, that's sick. I just realised you can turn this on and off from the microphone, the camera, the recording. Brilliant. Anyway, excuse the music. Hopefully it drowns it out because I've got the microphone on. Got my cup of tea. Priorities in order. Priority. On my tin it's called normality. Anyway, enough with the jokes, the tea jokes. So, this is supposedly the filter. It is a filter? Sealing ring, as Mercedes calls it. O-ring. It is about 3-inch rubber circular O-ring. And the part number is, yes, that one. Just there. Hopefully it reads it okay on this camera. Not too blurry. Pause it if you need it. A990-997-2402. Now, in order to do this, you have to remove the auxiliary belt, to take the idler pulley off, to take the vacuum pump off, to then undo the nut on the front of the cog on the fuel pump, which goes to the timing chain, so that then you can pull the pump out from the back. You will then need to completely loosen, not just slacken, the 3 bolts holding the pump on. Oh, and also you will have had to time it. So I've got the timing locking pin for these pumps, which I need to dig out, and I need to find where it slots in so I can lock the pump. The engine's not going to move. And then undo the 3 bolts. Well, getting a bit ahead of myself there. Take off all of the injector lines from the pump. Take off the fuel lines, the vacuum lines. Disconnect the pump entirely. Possibly take the intake manifold off. Probably for access to lift it up. Let's get the engine cover off in a minute. And then it will... We'll see when we get the engine cover off in a minute. And then it's a case of making sure those 3 bolts are fully undone. Oh, and there's one at the back. I always forget about that one. There's one at the back of the pump. And then you can just... I'm saying this like I know what I'm doing. I've never done it. I've dealt with all of these parts before and had a lot of these bolts and stuff loosened before. All of the injector lines have been off before, all the fuel lines when the engine came out. I've had the fuel pump bolts loose to adjust the timing, which I think is what made this leak. Because ever since I adjusted the timing, it would have disturbed that seal slightly, and now it started leaking. The joys of old vehicles, because that seal hasn't been touched or moved in 30 years. And then I just go, do you want to move it this way a bit? And it just goes, nah, I'll piss oil out instead. So yeah, I'm going to start by taking the engine cover off and popping the bonnet to take the auxiliary belt off, which I literally just put on the other day because I put on a new alternator. And I can finally hook up my oil pressure gauge, and I also have a throttle spring here because I bought one of these from Mercedes, and I had one spare, which was an old one, that was kind of on its way out and then did end up snapping. Put the new one on, it lasted about 1 or 2 months before snapping. So I bought 3 of these. They're only about £3 each, if that, like £2 something. Oh, and this seal is really reasonable. They accidentally, first of all, sent me the one that goes into the front of the injection pump, but that's not what I want. And unless it's easy to change, I'm probably not going to change it, but I'll keep the seal, obviously. This is the correct seal, and this one only costs about £2 or £3 as well. Whereas the other one, the wrong one that I bought, I think that one was like nearly a tenner. So don't buy that one. Make sure you got that part number. Anyway, let's get crack-a-lacking. Because it's nearly 11 o'clock now. Smells of lovely clutch down here. Proper burning the clutch out, getting it up that little ramp. Right, I need a light in here. I'll show you the leak. It's already dripped on the floor. So, hopefully, without my torch, you'll be able to see, well, you can see that there's substantial amounts of oil on the floor. Substantial amounts of oil on the sump. If I get my phone torch, you can see where it's dripping from. That's the injection pump. Just there. That's the bottom of it. And the block is obviously red. And where it bolts to the block, it is leaking all the way down here, all the way down the sump, all the way back onto that cross member, all the way back to the bell housing, all the way back to the gearbox, and just generally making a real big mess. And also making puddles everywhere I stop, which I don't like. Look at it. Dribbles of it. So yeah. Yeah. So I've also think I've got another crank seal leak. The front crank's gone again, I think. But and my power steering pump seems to always be slightly moist, but never drips. Just looks like that all the time, so it's not really a big problem. Yeah, the bolts are around the vac pump. You can see one there. If I make an arrow on the video, you'll be able to see it. You might be able to see the other one. Oh, just up the side of the vac pump. And then the other one is behind the idler pulley, above the vac pump. So let's get this all detached and start pulling her apart so she doesn't do this and lose all my oil on the way to Morocco. Not that it has actually lost any oil yet, which is very odd. So this is the old one I had, because my new one that snapped, sometimes they snap and disappear. Sometimes they snap and just sit in the engine. And this one did, and I managed to curl a new bit round to make it much better. Because I'd recoiled that one, it was too tight. I keep thinking the microphone's over there, but it's on my head, isn't it? Yeah, it's too tight, because I recoiled it, so that's much better. Right, I have done videos on removing the auxiliary belt already, so I'm just going to take that off, and I'm also just going to whip the idler pulley off, just because there's very poor access. And then I think we'll go back into the cab and start knocking off injector lines, fuel lines, vac lines. Yeah, the only thing I haven't had off yet is the nut that holds the fuel pump to the cog that I was on about behind the vac pump. I've had the vac pump off, I've had, as I said, all the injector lines, blah, 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 off, so. They're still very warm though, which is nice because it's quite cold outside, so I can warm my hands. Right, so what I'm going to do now is try and take the intake manifold off because it's quite a big job. So I'm just going to undo all of the M10s, well, no, sorry, 10mm M6s, like I've just started to do there. There's one there, all for the throttle linkage. In fact, putting that throttle spring on was probably completely counterproductive. Vac lines here need to pop off. Throttle linkage needs to be disconnected, probably take that bolt off there just so it's disconnected from the pump and we can take the manifold off. So the reason I was going to take these off is so I can just leave the throttle linkage here in the van, and then if I undo that, like I said, but that means the intake manifold and pump can come out and I don't have to interfere with all these linkages, because I don't really want to take all of that off because I can't really remember how it goes out. So yeah, and then these are I think like 14mm for the injector lines. Just knock all of them off, and then down here, if you can see, you want to undo the Jubilee for the lift pump, and also the banjo here, well this one that goes to the fuel filter, and then the banjo that comes from the fuel filter, so they both want to come off as well. And I don't know, I don't think there's a return anywhere, I think that's it. I think it's just those two hard lines and the flexi at the bottom needs to come off, and then obviously the main injector lines. And to take the manifold off, which is the next job, I need to take these bolts out here as well for the fuel line brackets, the injection line brackets. So I've got my little impact here, I'm just going to attack this basically and try and take this manifold off. Right, I'm just on the last couple of things on the injection pump. Fuel out of the lift pump I'm just removing. I hate the axis on these engines. There's like no room. And then I've cracked off all the injection lines. I've not taken them off yet. I'm just kind of loosening things, seeing how it goes. And once I've done these two, I'm going to go around to the front and I'm going to take the vac pump off, which is a large handful of... Oh, wrong way. Don't do it the wrong way, Max. 10mm M6s. I should get a rag though. I've got one just here. Just because of the fuel. It's veg oil, it gets really gammy and yucky. Doesn't smell like diesel though, which is not too bad. But I am going to brake clean this whole fucking engine again, because it's made a right mess of my really nice engine. If you didn't watch when I did the work on it before, did the head gasket, and that's why it's now red, because I had the engine out, engine and gearbox out, did the clutch, load of gaskets, head gasket, got the head reconditioned. Beautiful, like a new van. And she gets a whopping 76 horsepower, which I was not best impressed with, but that was on veg. I'm thinking I might have to, I think you might have to knock it off from the top of the fuel filter, actually, because it doesn't like the cable spins. Anyway, we're almost there with the injection pump removal. Oh, I need to do something before I forget. I need to lock the pump. So what you want to do, before I get ahead of myself, 17mm off on the side of the pump. Oil will come tipping out. Not too much. There is also a washer on there. Keep that safe and clean. And then I will show you the fuel pump locking tool, which needed a bit of modification last time when my friend Aidan bought it, so I imagine I'll have to do the same modification to mine. Chinese stuff. It's just a £10 tool on eBay. If you bought the actual Mercedes one, it would probably, well, it would fit, but it's probably considerably more expensive. So yeah, let's get that cracked off. I've disconnected all of the everything else now, but let's get it timed up and go from there. So here is the line you want to be trying to look for. Can you see it there? It's that line there. You want to be lining it up with the top edge, this edge here. And then you want to rotate it around. At the moment you can see there's no numbers on that crank pulley. So let's spin around and I'll show you where we should be. Top tip. If you're going to try and turn the crank, make sure it's out of gear. Why is it not moving? And then I heard creaking and I was like, oh, I think it's in gear. Yeah, so I was trying to move the whole van. I heard the handbrake creaking. Right, let's try again, shall we? Oh my god, it turns with ease. I was going to say, that is a lot of compression. So if you have a look here, you can see 40, 30, 20, 10, OT is, I've just gone past OT. So I want to take it to 10, 12, 13. That should be where mine is. If you haven't, yours should be somewhere around 15. 14.5 to 15, I think the standard timing is. But mine is about 13, so let's go check with a mirror and see if we can see the line. So if you look in there, through the mirror and the torch, you should be able to see, I can see it, a line. I'll try and point it out in the editing. And that should lock into my tool. So this is the tool here. As you can see, it's got a little flat bit. You thread this in to the big plug, and the idea is that it shouldn't be on a drill. The idea is you thread that in, and then as you twist the end, which is a bit hard to grab, but when you thread it in, there's a little like clip around there, like a little circlip, and you'll see that like out when you thread that in. And then if you spin it, if the position is right, when that goes then horizontal, if you spin that, then that should then like lock in. It should like, because it's sprung loaded, it should then ping in, and that then you know that the timing is locked on the pump. But the Chinese one's too big, the actual like outer ball, so it doesn't actually go in the pump. So flat disc and drill, mini lathe, and just take it back a couple of mil. Not a couple of mil, literally a mil. Barely taking anything off. We might have to do a little bit more. Nope, that goes in. See? And boom, that goes in. So I'll try and film it, but it's quite hard. Let me get my torch. So if we start to thread that nut in, I might need 2 hands. I just want to do it out of demonstration purposes. There we go. So it really doesn't have to be threaded in very much. And I pull that out. And try and twist it. The lack of room in this engine bay. Okay, I had to move you guys out of the way to get enough room on the actual to spin that. But as you can see, you see the little black circlip on there now. As I spin this, you'll hear, hopefully, or at least see, can you see how far out it is, and you can see the slot here. So we're going to turn it, because at the moment it's not exactly horizontal, and then it will just lock in. Ready? Did you hear that? And see that? Now that gap is a lot less, because that's just lined up with that pin, or the little notch sticking out on inside the fuel pump, and that is now locked onto that with that little groove on it. So that pump, which is, well, you do actually want to thread it in for locking the pump. For checking the timing, you don't have to thread it in, because it'll either go in or it won't. But now, if I do that up a bit more, that pump is locked in position. So as long as the engine doesn't move, which I don't plan on it moving, when I take this pump off and put it back on, it should be in the exact same place. So now what I'm going to do, because time is getting on, it's 2 o'clock, had to tidy up the other unit from yesterday. The plan is to take the vac pump off, take this intake manifold off, because it just needs to come off for the pump to actually physically get out. And we might have to loosen off some of the injection lines, like these two, in order to actually get it out. We might have to actually take injector lines 4 and 5 off. But I also need to do these 10mm bolts here, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, so I am getting there, but what you have to do before taking the pulley off is remove the chain tensioner, which is a 32mm, and it is down there. What you're looking for is this. That's a 19. You don't want to take that off. I started to take that off. That's like, I'm not sure what that is. I think the spring will pop out then. That tensions the chain. So you want to take that out. And then this bolt is the bolt in the front pulley. And that one is a left-hand thread, so you do it clockwise to remove it. Now, I have got a manual, and that's where I found that info, and I'm glad I did, because otherwise I would have tried doing it the wrong way. The pump is locked, but I did get my mate to hold the crankshaft pulley, but it didn't move, which is good. Timing has not moved. We're still at 13 degrees there. And what I'm doing now is removing the bolts for the injection pump, but they're really annoying because they have these little squares, as you can see. That is the back nut. So I've been using a pair of mall grips to grip that. So I'm just going to grip the last one. There's 3 of them around where the vacuum pump is. And then, yeah, we can finally remove the pump after removing the back one. So let me just get my mall grips, and then I need to attach them on to the nut, which is in the dark now because my torch has run out of battery. So yeah, and the SD card's filling up on this. So sorry about the quality of the video, but I hope it does help. I will get the torch on it in a second. So one of them that I've removed is down there. You can see the oval hole. And then the other one, so one other thing, there it is down there. That's the last one. And there was this turn line here on one more banjo. I thought the pump had a return line, but I couldn't quite remember, and that just bolts down there, as you can see. So now that's all off, finally, I'll try and grip that with some more grips, and then remove that last bolt. Well, actually that's the last bolt there on the back of the pump, and then it should come out. I'm just going to put a pen mark on the block, just so I know roughly where to line it back up with. Alright, that'll do. Just a couple of lines, just so I know roughly where to put it back on. There is an adjuster screw right down this side of the pump. I don't think I need to actually do anything to replace that, to remove it, sorry. No, I don't. That is it out. Oh my god. I did not quite expect that to be that easy. That just came out. Oh my god. Injection pump. Right, let's move it out. Heavy old lump. I look forward to cleaning this up. I've not got long though, time is running out. Right, what we looking like? I don't even see an O-ring. Maybe it's still on the block. Can I lie that on its back? I think so. Oh, that's what I was worried about, the gear linkage, right. Sorry Ben about your floor. I don't see an O-ring. I really don't. This needs a good old clean up. Right, let's see if we can find an O-ring on the engine block. Ah! That'll be the jobby. Haha. That is the culprit. Shall we check it's the right part? Please! Camera's going to run out of SD card storage any second. She looks damn fucking right to me. There's the part number. Bad and good O-ring. Fucking beautiful. Right, I am going to spend a little bit of time with some petrol and a brush cleaning this pump up. I mean, I've mostly done this side, but it'd be nice to get this side done, because I've never done this side. Get a little wire brush on it. Stop pissing fuel out everywhere. Put a rag under it. Clean up this face, get this all nice and clean, and literally just try and get it bolted back on, because it's 4:30 now, and ideally we want to be out of here by 6, because we're going to see another one of these. I've been offered one for 500 quid. Shh, that'll be a next year. You won't see that till next year though. I don't even know when you'll see this video, to be fair. It's currently October. Yeah, and I'm heading, it's nearly November, because I'm heading on the ferry with less than a week. 28th of October. Right. I got paint all over this. What a poor painting. This is the bit you can't see. It doesn't matter. Right, quick clean up. Not going to film that. I'll film it when it's all clean and how I'm going to put it back together. And I will let you know the torque specs for this. I will try and... I'm going to take pictures of the manual I've got. And then put them in the video. So I hope this helps. Okie dokie people. That is all cleaned up in there. Lots of petrol, wire brushing, rags. And now that's nice and clean. And then if we come round to the front of the van, here is the injection pump, all beautifully cleaned up. Well, mainly this side, as you can see, much cleaner. Yeah. So she's all ready to go back together. I've given this front face a very good clean. Well, I was going to go over it once more just to get all the dust out of that groove around there. As you can see, there's a little bit in there. But otherwise, like, you're not getting this perfect, but it was full of crap in all of these cavities, so it's much better than it was. So yeah, just give it one more wipe over because I went to do the engine block, so I was doing this first. Give it one more wipe, and then we'll open this new O-ring. And yeah, that good way to tell is if you roll them in your fingers, you'll feel them like it sits there, because it's no longer circular anymore, this O-ring. It's flat, it's like oval instead of dead on circular. So yeah, let's wipe and go. Right, one other thing I took off, if we gently put that over there, was the throttle spring. So this guy moves like this. That is literally your throttle, is that shaft turning there. So that's going to go on there and on there. So that's where that throttle spring goes. Absolute pain in the ass to get to when it's on the engine. When it's here, it was alright. In fact, it's dead easy. I am just going to stick a little bit of this silicone grease just to help the O-ring fit on nice and smoothly. Now, when asking about to do this pump seal, there's a guy in a Facebook group who's really knows his stuff. I'm not like dissing him at all, but I mean, it is you do have to somewhat have, you know, confidence in this, and I am really good at just learning by going. Some people do struggle. Don't know, this stuff just seems to make sense to me. But he said, you know, he was like, yes, that looks like this O-ring that needs replacing, when I was on about the oil leak. But then he was like, don't attempt it yourself. And I was like, I've done the timing. He was like, they're two different things. Don't attempt it. It's not that hard for me, but you know, take it at your own risk. At least this might help you diagnose or realize, or at least look for the part number and you can get someone else to change it. So yeah, let's pop this O-ring on and pop it back on. Right, I'm just seating the O-ring around that little groove that I just showed you. Apologies I'm out here, but I just needed to mount the camera. So I'm not sure if you guys will be able to see. You can probably see better than me because you're down by the radiator. There is the front. And I suppose we can just start putting that bolt back in. Remember, it's the left-hand thread bolt. So, to me, I reckon that will go in. Can you guys see? Does it look lined up? Yeah, so the vac pump runs on the cam. Can you see the cam? The wibbly bit on the fuel pump pulley. The vac pump runs off there, and that's how it gets vacuum, which runs loads of things. Anyway, let's put that bolt back in then. Right, the race to get it back together. Right, let's just check the timing is locked by just pulling the pin out, twisting it round, and check that when we spin it, yeah, locked back in. We are timed up. Let's take that out. In you go. I'm loving how clean this pump's looking now. 17 mil. Do that one up. These really don't have to be done up very tight, none of the banjos or anything. Just nipped up, because otherwise you'll struggle to get this off. It's always really tight, I find. I actually just loosened it off a little bit then, because even last time it was really tight, and I know it gets tight. Right. Probably a terrible idea to put these vac pipes back on, because they're probably going to have to come off again, but I'm going to lay this back in place, because otherwise you won't be able to get it in. It does need to be in the correct place. Just going to loosely thread them on to stop any crap going in. You should really cover them with something. If you've got something, cover the top of your injectors. But I didn't have anything, and it is a really quick job, so less time for things to get in there. Oh, almost squashed the glow plug loom. Yeah, this gasket hasn't moved from the head yet, so I'm just going to clean this up quickly, the intake manifold, because it's got a lot of oil on it, and then yeah, I'm pretty sure we're ready to bolt that back on. Right, I have just a quick little check. Fuel pump bolts done up. That back bracket done up. This return banjo is also done up. Oh, one thing I might put on first actually is this pipe. I had to take it off because this pipe here that goes onto the top of the lift pump is crimped, so you have to take it off the fuel filter as well, which is a bit annoying, and then twist the whole pipe like that in order to thread it off and back on. Is there 2 washers there? Yes. Always make sure when you're doing these banjo fittings that you've got 1 washer below and 1 washer above. All of them need to have 1 above and 1 below. I almost just did a blind install there and put 2 washers on the top, which means it will most definitely leak, and you don't want a fuel leak. Take my plugs out. Hello there! Intake manifolds going back on.
£34 in newton meters.
That's almost as low as yours goes. It goes down as 30 foot-pounds.
We have a
He says that it's a bolt. That this bolt's designed to break if it's over torqued.
Ah.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Worst kind of bolt. Why are they designed to do that?
Yeah, on such a crucial part.
And an asshole place.
Yeah.
What's this? 605?
This is 606.
Is it?
Oh, good. Screws right in there. Anti-clockwise. This is not a very strong bolt. I read something about it being designed to break if it's over torqued. So you only want 33 foot-pounds or 45 newton meters on this bolt.
45.
Well, since it's reverse
45 newton meters. Oh, of course.
Right, we finally got everything bolted up, the pump on, and my friend was giving me a hand, so I didn't film much more in detail, but it's basically just the reverse of what we did. Bolt the throttle linkages back on, do up the injection lines, do up the vac pump after tightening that fuel pump bolt to 45 newton meters anti-clockwise, and put all the breather pipes back onto the air intakes. Make sure the throttle linkage is bolted back up, the throttle springs back on, and then the auxiliary belt, and then we had to prime the system, which took a long time, especially with a really crap battery that I had at the time. But anyway, that is the job done, and now we will see it the next morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Great, this is on 2% battery. It's the next day, and would you look at that? Yeah, there's no oil. There is a little bit of oil, but that's coming from the vac pump, but that's not too bad. At least it's not pissing out from there. I did put a new gasket on there. I might just try and tighten those bolts a little bit. But otherwise, beautiful. It's clean. So my job is to clean the rest of it. I cleaned the sump mostly yesterday, nice and shiny again. But I've got to clean back there